The history of Namibia has passed through several distinct stages, from settlement of its earliest humans to being colonized in the late 19th century and to gaining independence on 21st March 1990. Before we continue with this video, kindly take a second to subscribe to our channel if you haven't, or if this is your first time here. Also turn on our notification to always get notified each time we drop a video. Stay tuned. As early as 25,000 BC, the first humans lived in the Huns Mountains in the south of Namibia. The painted stone plates that exist from that time not only prove that these settlements existed, they also belong among the oldest works of art in the world. A fragment of a hominoid jaw, estimated to be 13 million years old, was found in the Otavi Mountains. Findings of Stone Age weapons and tools are further proof that a long time ago early humans already hunted the wild animals of the region. The Ovambo and the smaller and closely related group Kavango lived in northern Namibia, southern Angola, and in the case of the Kavango, western Zambia. Being settled people, they had an economy based on farming, cattle, and fishing, but they also produced metal goods. Both groups belonged to the Bantu nation. They rarely ventured south to the central parts of the country, since the conditions there did not suit their farming way of life, but they extensively traded their knives and agricultural implements. During the 17th century, the Herero, a pastoral nomadic people keeping cattle, moved into Namibia. They came from the East African lakes and entered Namibia from the northwest. First, they resided in Kauko land, but in the middle of the 19th century, some tribes moved further south into Damara land. A number of tribes remained in Kauko land. These were the Himba people, who are still there till today. During German occupation of Southwest Africa, about one-third of the population was wiped out in the genocide that continues to provoke widespread indignation. An apology was sought in more recent times. In the 19th century, Olams, originally formed from mixed-race descendants of indigenous Khoikhoi, Europeans and slaves referred to as white farmers, arrived, pushing the indigenous Khoisan peoples, who put up a fierce resistance across the Orange River. The Khoisan adopted the Olam customs and spoke a language similar to Afrikaans. Armed with guns, the Olams caused instability as more and more came to settle in Namaka land, and eventually conflict arose between them and the Nama. Under the leadership of Jonka Africana, the Olams used their superior weapons to take control of the best grazing land. In the 1830s, Jonka Africana concluded an agreement with the Nama chief Oseb, whereby the Olams would protect the central grasslands of Namibia from the Herero, who were then pushing south. In return, Jonka Africana, recognized as overlord, received tributes from the Nama and settled at what is known today as the city of Windhoek on the borders of Herero territory. The last group of people today considered indigenous that arrived in Namibia were the Bastas, descendants of Boer men and African women. Being Calvinists and African-speaking, they considered themselves to be culturally more white than black. As with the Olams, they were forced northwards by the expansion of white settlers when in 1868, a group of about 90 families crossed the Orange River into Namibia. The Bastas settled in central Namibia, where they founded the city Rehoboth. In 1872, they founded the Free Republic of Rehoboth and adopted a constitution stating that the nation should be led by a captain, directly elected by the people, and that there should be a small parliament consisting of 3 directly elected citizens. The first European to travel to Namibia was the Portuguese Diogo Cao in 1485, who stopped briefly at the Skeleton Coast and raised a limestone cross there on his exploratory mission along the west coast of Africa. This cross is nowadays known as Cape Cross, and its historical importance is almost superseded by being home to a colony of over 100,000 Cape fossils. The next significant visitor was Bartholomew Diaz, who stopped en route at Walvis Bay and Luderitz on his way around the Cape of Good Hope. The Namib Desert was a formidable barrier, and neither of these Portuguese explorers went very far inland. One of the first European groups to show interest in Namibia were the Missionaries. In 1805, the London Missionary Society began working in Namibia, moving north from the Cape Colony. In 1811, they founded the town Bethany in southern Namibia, where they built a church which was long considered to be Namibia's oldest building, before the site at Kozanas, which predates European settlement, was recognized. In the 1840s, the German Rhenish Mission Society started working in Namibia and cooperating with the London Missionary Society. It was not until the 19th century when European powers sought to carve up the African continent between them in the so-called scramble for Africa that Europeans, Germany in the forefront, became interested in Namibia. Long after, Southwest Africa, as Namibia was called while it was a German territory, was placed under the South African administration by the League of Nations after the First World War. When the United Nations was established after the Second World War, the South African Prime Minister, General Smuts, argued for the incorporation of Southwest Africa into South Africa as one of its provinces. The request was turned down by the United Nations. However, things changed in 1948 when the National Party came into power. The systems of government in South Africa led to the formation of the Southwest African People's Organization, SWAPO, led by Andimba Toivo Jatoivo. In 1960s, Toivo Jatoivo and others were arrested by defiance against the South African government and later sent to Robben Island. In 1988, the South African government, under the United Nations Brokered Peace Initiative, finally agreed to give up control of Namibia, and on 21st March 1990, Namibia was granted its independence. This is the history of Namibia. Kindly like, comment and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe if you are yet to. Thanks for watching.